this is Chelsea. I'm here to tell you about this new full moon, August 7th. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's not just a full moon. It's just not like any full moon. It's a lunar eclipse. And this lunar eclipse has a lot of different aspects playing in the background. Most of them are to our benefit, but the biggest one, I would say, is not to our benefit, unfortunately. Basically, so I'll break down what a lunar eclipse means for us and what the different aspects are. Long story short, lunar eclipses are regular full moons times 5. So like a lunar eclipse will only happen with a full moon, and lunar eclipses mark big changes in our lives. In my opinion, a lot of times when I talk to you guys about like regular full moons, regular first quarters, third quarters, all that stuff, at least I try to present it as something that's like changes that are inspired by you. I'm trying to give you tools to say, oh, okay, there's a new moon coming in my 6th house. Great time to start up a new routine. There's a new moon or a full moon starting like in my relationship sector. I'm probably gonna have to let go of some relationships, but it's gonna be all for the better. I get to cut off some, excess baggage and whatnot. I would say for a lunar eclipse, and for any type of eclipse, this change is coming from the universe. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, of course it could be self-initiated, but it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be sudden. It's going to take you by surprise. It may happen like the day of, like that. It may happen over the course of, a couple months. Man, I almost forgot. I think this full moon cycle will last either 6 months or 2 years. That's like not a small mix-up. I think it's 6 months. I think it is. Like, I think full moons and lunar and solar eclipses happen every 6 months. So I think this is about to mark off the next 6 months. Somebody double check me. But in general, these are sudden changes. Changes where, like, it wouldn't behoove you to look back, because you cannot go back. There's no turning back from this one. And they're big, it's big things, life-changing things like weddings, graduations, career changes, career promotions. I have a lot going on in my career right now, so I'm just kind of like, I hope this is good. It should be good. Look out for if this eclipse affects a personal spot in your chart, especially anybody who has a birthday on August 7th, which is when the new moon a full moon is happening. If you have a birthday on August 7th, like, whoa, like this year is gonna be big. Okay, so also I wanted to write them down so I wouldn't forget. But the aspects, the biggest aspect is Jupiter square Pluto. It's gonna be happening on the same day. If you watch my monthly videos, you'll already see that, or you'll already have known that's happening in August. And it actually lasts for a long time. It's not like, that aspect isn't just for that day, but it is occurring on that day. Be careful that your ambition and your drive for success doesn't get unethical. Because like Jupiter square Pluto will want us to really kind of get what we want and go towards success at all costs. And there's also going to be, so on that day, there will be Sun conjunct Mars and Moon opposite Mars. And that's going to want us to get really aggressive. And so you have to be careful that you don't get ahead of yourself. Be careful that you don't step on other people's toes, because you could end up ruining relationships that you really you know, don't want to. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you could really end up cutting people out of your life unnecessarily, people that you would want to keep in your life, but because you're being so cutthroat, you know, you end up ruining a good relationship. There's a specific like phrase that I'm looking for. Oh wow. It actually reminds me of like something that happened with one of my mom's friends recently. The details aren't important. I barely know them. But it's like one small thing seemed to ruin the entire friendship. And that's one of the longest, because my family has moved around a lot. We're not as much as like army brats, though. I love them. But like, you know, I wish I could travel that much. But we moved around a decent amount of time, especially since coming from New Jersey to Texas. So, you know, it's hard for relationships to stick when you're constantly moving. So the ones that do, you kind of see them as being highly significant. And one of the longest relationships that I think our family has had with another family just kind of like dissolved over something small. And that's something that this eclipse can do, especially with the Mars, especially with the aspects to Mars if you're not careful. So another aspect is the sun will be sextile Jupiter and the moon will be trine Jupiter. So that will help us, you know, tune into our ethical nature, tune into doing what's right and what's just and what's fair. Remember, Jupiter is in Libra. And that'll help us refrain from doing anything we shouldn't. Specifically, anything unethical, anything underhanded to further your own success. Don't be tempted. Don't be tempted. I think that's everything that I had. You know, expect something to end because it is a full moon, or rather expect to reap the benefits of what you've done, not just from this lunar cycle, but like for the past 6 months. But also expect to cut away from something and to change something big, All right, let's get into it. Aries, let me see this. Sorry. Leo, the sun is in your 5th house. The moon is in your 11th house. So in terms of your business and your lovers and your social circles, you might end up changing. If you do run a business, the trajectory of your business can take like a total U-turn. You may end up changing a lot of your social circles, people who you hang out with. Hopefully not, but like you might end up, if you're not careful with like this Mars energy, you might end up excommunicating yourself from like social groups in order to have your business survive, which, you know, everybody is unique, so I can't speak to your case specifically, but it might not be something you want to do. If your social group is the one who's being unethical, then yeah, sure, cut away. But otherwise, don't. or just be careful. Don't be unethical. Don't be too cutthroat to get to where you want to go. Next up, we have Taurus. Leo's in your 4th house of home, family, and Aquarius is in your 10th house of career. So again, like, be careful, like if you are given a promotion, if you are given not so much a raise, but more so if you're thinking about making any changes to your career, be careful for how that may impact your family. It may take you away from family. It may put a dent on your family's finances, and that could create a lot of resentment with your family. So you have to make sure that you are considering them, if you will. Something that I forgot to mention is that with the lunar eclipse, the Earth is in between the sun and the moon. So the moon is cut off from the sun's light, if you will. No, it's actually the light. The moon is cut off from the Earth's light. So like the moon won't be able to produce it. The moon doesn't produce any light of its own. It only reflects light from the sun. So essentially, some of your darker emotions can come through. And the sun, the ambitious nature of the sun is almost put on the back burner, or rather is like detached from your emotions. And yeah, it's just be careful. I would just say don't do anything unethical, and consider your family, for you specifically, Taurus. Gemini, Leo's in your 3rd house of communication. Aquarius is in your 9th house of travel. So if you do want to travel, if you are thinking about going somewhere far, like a foreign land, this will probably come through for you. And it'll probably come suddenly. All of a sudden you'll be like, oh wow, I can actually like make this trip to like Morocco or something, or Cuba. Be careful though that whoever you plan the trip with is ethical and is trustworthy. You don't want to end up getting scammed, but also you don't want to end up where like, you know, you plan this trip with somebody who's like super shady, and all of a sudden when you get to that location, like you're kidnapped, you know, God forbid. But like, you want to make sure that whatever you do is really structured. Also, if you're, you know, doing anything that involves higher education, make sure you're not cheating to enhance personal gain. Make sure that you're being honest, make sure that you're being fair, because these things will be tested. And this is the type of situation where like any other day of the year, if you decide to cheat on a test, nobody would care. But on this day, if you try to cheat, the teacher will find out, they'll send it to the dean, you'll get kicked out of school. You know, like this is the day that this type of thing will happen. Versus if you just, you know, took the test out of your own integrity, it'll just fare better for you. You may not even have as dramatic a change. You know, if anything, maybe you'll take the test, you won't do well, you'll realize you're tired of failing in school, and then you'll start to create a really rigid regime to do better in school. That's one of those subtle changes that are really huge, but, you know, kind of, it would have started in that moment, but you may not have noticed it necessarily. It's one of those slow changes that are long lasting. And it's not a hard change to make. I don't know, it just reminds me of my life, how all of a sudden I was like, you know, I kind of want to do well in school. And like, bam, like things just took off. Anyway, Cancer, Leo's in your 2nd house of resources and food. Aquarius is in your 8th house of the occult. Hopefully nobody dies, you know what I mean? Hopefully nobody dies. This lunar eclipse would give a very, I don't even want to say traumatic, but dramatic change. And hopefully nobody dear to you dies. Maybe instead something like your relationship to food, some part of your relationship to food may die, some part of your finances, or your relationship to finance may die. On the other hand, maybe, you know, your attitude towards the occult can just have a really huge revival once you see something, you know, that really gives you faith. But look out for big changes in terms of how you make money. Look out for big changes in terms of how you finance your money. That's really all I have. Doesn't seem, I don't know. Let me think about it more. I don't want to like, I don't want to give you guys like a crappy like reading. So 8th house matters. Does have to do with history. Does have to do with the occult. It does have to do with secrets and other people's money. You may end up getting more of other people's money, or more realistically cutting away from other people's money on an ethical note. So make sure that if you are dealing with other people's money, that you're being ethical with it. If you are trying to swindle people, you'll get found out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not gonna work out well for you. But if you are ethical, what's more likely gonna happen is that people will take notice, people will give you more of their money, and it'll work in your favor. Okay, Leo. It's in your 1st house and 7th house. sweet. I can see big relationships, life-changing relationships coming in or going out. I can see your attitude towards the people who you want to keep around you changing as a result of who you are changing. Now, if that is the case, try not to be a douchebag. You don't want to be unethical in your actions. What does that mean? You don't want to say, oh, I'm trying to elevate myself, so therefore I'm too good for you. No. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand cutting people out of your life because like you don't want that energy around you, but like try not to act like you're above someone. Try not to get too full of yourself. You just don't want to be too unethical. You don't want to be too pompous. You don't want to be too cutthroat. You don't want to be mean. Even if you have to cut somebody out of your life, you don't have to be mean about it. You don't have to be rude. I'm not the one to ask though, because I'm terrible at that. I'm just like fake. My friend will always say like, do the fade out. And I'm like, how do you like fade out of someone's life? I just feel like it's weird. And it doesn't work. I don't know. But yeah, be careful about relationships, business partnerships. Some of you guys may be starting or meeting people who you want to start really big business ventures with. People who you want to start, I always want to say a law firm, but yeah, people who you really want to team up with in terms of work or business. And then also just meeting really great friends who can influence you, even maybe mentors, considering that the sun is conjunct Mars. Okay, Virgo. So Leo's in your 12th house of rest and spirituality. Aquarius is in your 6th house. So I would say, make sure that you're not resting too much. Make sure that you're really balancing your work life and your inner world. So if you feel overworked, you may finally, like, out of nowhere, your boss might be like, you know what? You need a vacation. Period. You need a vacation. What's that one Big Sean song? Big Sean song. What is it called? I know. That's the mood. Go Google it. Anyway, I love that song. But yeah, you may be feeling overworked. You may be feeling like I need to find a better balance, a new balance shoes. Yeah, you may realize that you need to find a new balance. You also may need to realize that you may have to work more. Or even better, you may realize that you have to incorporate some of your hobbies into your work, or you have to allow your hobbies to inform your work. So for example, if you like to paint, or if you like to do anything artistic, you can make that your daily work, or you can make a routine where instead of, maybe you feel deprived, maybe you feel like you don't get to do enough of your hobbies, you can make it a routine to where you get to paint every day, because you make sure that 15 minutes before bed, you go in front of that, easel and you paint. Alternatively, you may have a huge spiritual revolution that takes you by surprise. It could be some sudden change or a subtle change that just kind of wakes you up and makes you think, wow, like, just kind of connects you on a deeper level with the universe and makes you more inclined to be spiritual. All right, Libra. Leo is in your 11th house. I don't know why that's funny. Leo's in your 11th house and Aquarius is in your 3rd house, 5th house. Right. So in this case, it's a lot like with Aries. Like, make sure your business isn't coming in the way of your friends. Make sure that your need for attention, for fame, for awards and recognition, make sure that those things don't take away from the things that you enjoy doing. Which is funny because like, I'm about to start a YouTube channel. This is not a plug, I swear to God. But I'm about to start a YouTube channel of like, I like to sing, so it's like just me singing covers. And you know, growing up I always wanted to be a singer. I've mentioned this like at least 5 times. And you know, I did want to be famous. Like, I don't know, like I just feel like most people do, not most, but like a lot of people could probably resonate with that. So yeah, like I wanted to be famous, I wanted to win Grammys, but I don't really, you know, I've detached from that now. But now that I'm about to start my YouTube channel, I really do wonder, like, if I don't get a lot of attention, will I still enjoy it? You know, if nobody watches my videos, will I still want to make them? Will I still enjoy singing? Will I still think I'm a good singer? You know, these are things you have to think about. And I think that if you just act ethically, for example, in that specific example that I gave, I think it's perfectly fine to stop singing if it's no longer fun, because you feel like there's, for example, like stop making videos, stop singing publicly if it's no longer fun because you feel like there's so much pressure to be good. On the other hand, I don't think it's okay to stop singing because you're not getting the attention that you want. And you feel like you deserve more, you know what I mean? Like, that would be, you'd probably end up feeling like you lost something, if anything. And on the flip side, I was thinking, like, a lot of people are like, you want, because I'm applying in med school, right? A lot of people are like, oh, you want to make yourself seem like, you know, well-rounded and like interesting, essentially. So I was like, oh, you know what? I mean, given I was gonna start my YouTube channel anyway, but I was like, you know what? Let me make sure I get all these YouTube videos out before I send in my application so that they can look at it. You know, it's a little unethical, not explicitly, but it's kind of like, you know, but I don't know, something to think about, So yeah, anything that you do with your business, any hobbies that you do, you might even end up finding people to do it with. You might end up finding, for example, again with like this, the example of singing as a hobby and as a passion, you may end up finding a really bomb a cappella group to like sing with. And all of a sudden you guys become the pentatonics people. Yeah, so also look for changes just in your social circle. Look for changes. Look, you guys might be rewarded in a big way out of nowhere. You know, you didn't even know it was coming. So yeah, let's move on. Scorpio, Aquarius, the moon is in your 4th house, and Leo is in your 10th house of work. So make sure that you're not like confining yourself to your home. Make sure you're not being a homebody. Make sure you're not pooping out on yourself in terms of the things that you want to accomplish in your workplace. Maybe you just want a basic promotion. You know what I mean? Like you don't even want to like do all that much. Maybe you want to make moves and you want to make waves. Make sure that you're not, I don't want to say being lazy, but like make sure that you're not, because of the effort that it will take to do the things you want to do in your 10th house, which is occupation. Make sure that you're not shying away from that effort and just kind of pooping out and like, you know, sleeping. If that makes sense. It's kind of like, instead of burning the midnight candle, you just decide to go to bed early because you're tired. I understand you know, everybody gets tired, but there's a difference between being tired and being lazy. There's a difference between being tired and like putting in that extra grit to get you a little bit farther. So make sure that you're just, you know, taking care of everything on the home front. On the other hand, if you guys have a new home, yeah, I mean, you guys may be buying a new home, you guys may be looking for new property. If you do, this will probably be, I mean, if you are looking for new property, I don't see you like moving down the block. I see you moving in an entirely different place. Like I see this changing your trajectory because it's a lunar eclipse. Also, trying to think deeper on like your occupation, what you do for a living, and your reputation. If you have been being unethical, or if you choose to be unethical on this day, I can definitely see that staining your reputation and your home life. So for example, let's say like, I don't know, you cheated on someone, or more practical with the 10th house. Let's say that you just lost your job because of corruption in the workplace that you were a part of. Not only is that going to bring shame to you, it's also going to bring shame to you from your family. Your family will look down on you, and you won't be able to provide for your family. Or even if you don't provide for your family, you still will bring shame to your family, and they will shame you for it. Shame is not the best tool, you know, for change or for anything. But, you know, these are the type of things that could happen if you're being unethical, which is going to be tempting on this day, which is why I'm telling people, please don't. Please don't. This lunar eclipse could work in your favor. I have more on it after I get through everyone. I forgot to mention one last thing about it, which I thought was kind of important. Okay, Sag. Leo's in your 9th house and Aquarius is in your 3rd house. So again, with communication, if you've been being a troll, if you've been being an internet troll, it will come back to bite you in the booty. Okay. Let's hope you're not. But some other manifestations could be your communications taking you to a very far place. Maybe you have a friend who all of a sudden is like, oh, let's go here. Shout out to anyone who does One Love Travel Club. It's this thing. I actually found it out from Evelyn from the internet, one of my favorite channels on YouTube. And she does this One Love Travel Club where she travels. So this is exactly the type of thing that could happen with this type of eclipse. Somebody online or one of your friends just ends up, you know, all of a sudden planning this trip for you to go on, which could be life-changing. Something else is you may start gaining a lot of friends that are very enriching to your intellectual life. They just have really great conversation. They are very open-minded and smart, all the things that Sag likes. On the other hand, you may be losing people. You may be losing people who don't feed you intellectually, which, I mean, high five, honestly. Yeah. But more so, you may just find more friends who like show you things to engage in intellectually. Also, people who can get you connected to higher education institutions. If you are in an institution of higher education, or if you are in a foreign place, you may be getting more connected with the people around you. If you're trying to start an internet base, you may have a boost in that internet base. So long as you're not being underhanded, things should go well. Yeah. So Capricorn, Aquarius is in your 2nd house of money. Leo is in your 8th house of the occult. Again, don't be underhanded with your finances, or else I could see this as, you know, taxes or like the government coming through and taking your money from you because you're not being, because you're being unethical. So like this could be the type of thing where, like, you know, all of a sudden you get a letter from the government saying, you've been cheating on your taxes. Shame on you. We're about to take $50,000, you know, and you're like, I don't have $50,000. Something else is, you know, anybody who's doing like underhanded spells and magic. Like, first thing I thought of was, what's her name? Oh my God, Azalea Banks, and how she like killed a chicken on like, sorry. How she kills a chicken on YouTube or like IG Live or something. I don't know. Don't get foolish, okay? Please don't get foolish. In general though, you want to manage your finances. Perhaps you want to talk to somebody about your finances, and that could be somebody who sticks with you for a very long time. You want to make long-term decisions about your finances. Perhaps you want to invest in something new. You want to start a new insurance, like life insurance. You want to, sorry, I'm waiting for this to cut. Okay, so you want to, long-term insurance goals, long-term investments, they should be profitable. You may even start a new religion. You may start a new, you may find out something through the occult that says, like, you know, you're about to get money. That's cool. You may have like a reading that has a lot of like monetary nuances to it, or like messages. But just don't force it. That's all I would say. Don't force it. Don't try to get anything from the universe. Don't try and, like, you know, don't try and force it. Don't try to force the universe of anything, especially if it's money related. On the other hand, you may end up finding something about history or about the occult or about your own religion and spiritual practices that changes the way you eat. I was recently talking to someone, shout out Yada. Wait, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I didn't read your text. Oh well, I keep shouting her out. But like, she's telling me like how, like, why somebody should be vegan. I mean, it wasn't like a sales pitch, but she was just telling me a little bit about it. And that, it was just really interesting. You know, it's gonna be hard for me to ever change my eating practices. That's just what it is. But since it's happening in your second house, yeah, because second house has to do with like the food you eat and also the quality of the food you eat. Okay, Aquarius is happening in your first house and Leo's in your seventh house. Be careful that your identity isn't too alienating. You may start, I mean, this may be the start of like a lot of big changes for you. And you also, for example, let's say that you've been trying to be like someone. You've been envisioning yourself as a certain way, and you've been trying to do that. You may turn around and realize, oh, I'm the person who I've been trying to be. And that may sound weird, but like, there's a lot of things that like I for myself, I try to do. Like I want to read more. I want to learn foreign languages. I want to eat healthy, exercise, you know, and then all of a sudden you may turn around and be like, oh wow, I'm there. You know, I am reading more. I'm reading like 5 books a month. Wow. You know, it just happened out of nowhere. All of a sudden you realize that you're there. Or on the other hand, you may start to implement very solid things to make sure you get there. Also, the relationships that you have, you may end up losing or bringing in a lot of pivotal relationships. These relationships may end up changing you in a really big way. And particularly the new relationships that come around may end up changing you. Yeah, and also since you will be trying Jupiter, or the moon, which is in your first house, will be trying Jupiter, a lot of these things will be favorable. So long as you're not being unethical, because Capricorn is in your 12th house. Oh, hidden enemies. Eesh. Okay, listen. So it's like you can't help that. Yeah, so long as you're not being unethical and underhanded in terms of your own enemies, which will be hidden for the most part, or maybe sometimes you kind of know. So long as you're not being unethical and underhanded, you should be able to see a lot of positive things come of this eclipse. Okay. Pisces, Aquarius is in your 12th house, Leo is in your 6th house. So hobbies, making more time for hobbies, incorporating new hobbies, something that you've always wanted to do. Maybe you've always wanted to draw and like you never really did it, and like all of a sudden there's like, oh, you know, free painting class right around the corner from your house. And then you go and it really changes your life and you finally become the painter that you've always wanted to be. This is the type of thing. Any underhandedness will not work out in your favor. You will be tempted to do it, so don't. Especially in terms of hidden enemies. And also just, you may not be able to see things clearly, so you may think one person is the enemy when in fact it's somebody else. And because of that, you may end up fighting the wrong person because you're not seeing things clearly. So long as you don't do anything underhanded or unethical, you should be fine. Yeah, also you may have a lot of spiritual changes that prompt you to make changes to your daily routine. You may have a lot of spiritual awakenings. You also may have to make changes to your rest time. You may have to make changes to the way you handle your body and your work, and your job. You might have changes to your job, but I think the changes that you will have will be more so in terms of how does that affect your ability to rest? How does that affect your ability to engage in the hobbies that you love and have downtime for yourself? But these changes will be big. Okay, so that's everyone. Ooh, it's sometimes it's hard. I don't know why. I think because like when I go through everyone, a lot of times the houses repeat and I'm like, I don't want to say the same thing. Like I want to give you guys something fresh. But at the same time, every 4 weeks I'm kind of saying the same thing. But anyway, not really though, because the thing is it's in different signs. So let me go over like the signs again and what that would mean. So this is a full moon in Aquarius. Aquarius has to do with our unique identity. Leo also in many respects has to do with your unique identity, what makes you special. I always see it as Aquarius is unique without trying, while Leo shines without trying. So yeah, I mean, you want to tap into your humanitarian side. This is definitely a time to be more giving. Of course, like I said, there's the Jupiter square Pluto aspect will kind of tempt us to reach for personal gain at all costs. But I encourage you to be more humanitarian in light of Aquarius. And if it's not coming natural to you, think about what you do best and how you can use that to give to others. Think about what you do best and think about how you can use that to enrich the world, or at least your immediate community and surroundings. The last thing I wanted to say was this full moon is happening within the constellation of Capricorn. They have like a Latin name for it, Capricornus. Capricorn. So I see that as, you know, you should be getting money, or you should be reaping your reward. Also, if anybody's like trying to climb to the top of if anybody's trying to get to the top of their game, try and climb to the top of like the ladder in like business or your workplace, now is the time that it may happen, which is great. But also I just see like this as financial gains, because it's Capricorn and it's also a full moon, which means manifesting things and getting what you deserve, more or less, or what you've worked for, if you've worked for it. Anyway, that's all I have. If you guys want a reading from me, go to mysticilluminations88.com, and you could search for Odera under readers. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys. So I'll see you next week. Bye.